Right. I am here today to talk to you about how you can be more resilient, curious, and creative with AI, not in spite of it. When I ran my digital agency, it was hard. And I had so many ideas about how we could be better. But I just didn't have time to implement any of them. I didn't know where to start with most of them. And I didn't want to get it wrong and waste loads of time and money. And that kind of tension is stressful. So I developed coping strategies. Like, I would massively overthink everything, play over every eventuality in my head, convinced that I always had the answer in here somewhere if I could just think long and hard enough. And I was always on the lookout for the next book or podcast or LinkedIn guru to unlock that best way of working and get rid of all my problems. And I would just procrastinate. I would kick things down the road and tell myself it's not a good time for a big change right now. And this was even pre-AI. And I often wonder if I would be actually struggling more or less if I had access to AI. I think I'd be struggling more, especially if I was using AI in the way that it's marketed to us, as a sort of magical everything solution. Because when I'm overthinking, now I have this endlessly patient, all-knowing oracle of whom I can ask questions all day. It would essentially supercharge my ego. AI is like crack for overthinkers. And when I'm trying to leapfrog over all my problems, now with AI, I can ruthlessly optimize for outcomes, I can paper over any inconsistencies, I can avoid any anomalies, and we'll talk a bit later about why avoiding problems doesn't often work. And when I'm procrastinating, now I have this thing that can make the first step so quick and easy, but it encourages me to deprioritize the bit of change that actually makes change work, involving other people. When I can do 90% of the work myself with AI, that is not a good thing when I need to bring people along for the journey and get them involved. Real change happens with people, not for them. But even before AI, I was not coping running my agency. I was stressed, I was anxious, I was tired all the time, I was irritable, I was resentful. Maybe this sounds familiar to some of the business owners. I was burned out. And in 2021, I found myself in A&E having what I now know is a severe panic attack. And when you're surrounded by people who are like bleeding from their heads or have their limbs bent the wrong way, it is a real wake-up call that something needs to change. Like, I got into business to be the master of my own fate, not to be in hospital from stress. We've all been in pain. Oh, no, wait, sorry. All the stresses that led me to that point are still here today, but they can be amplified by AI. 86% of employers expect AI transformation by 2030. 75% of employees fear being made obsolete by AI. Think of 4 people that you work with, 3 of them are worried that AI is coming for their job. Last year, 45% of working tech professionals reported some level of AI-related burnout. And this year, that has jumped to 56%. Now, we've all been in pain for a long time. COVID, cost of living crisis, marginalization of minorities, global conflicts, the world is literally on fire, sometimes closer to home than we think. And when something like AI comes along and offers to be a balm to that pain, to take some of that stress away from us, to take some of that work off our plate, surely that is a good thing. But using AI to cope with stress is a bit like using painkillers after an injury. Really effective at first, but the more and more we use that, the more and more reliant we can become on it. And the less and less we trust our own ability to deal with things. AI companies offer their products on a subscription basis, just like Spotify, just like Netflix. They are not optimized for the truth, accuracy, or your mental health. They are optimized to get you to keep coming back and paying your subscription. AI tech companies call that engagement, but in this context, it looks very similar to addiction. Who here has used AI to help them solve a problem? It's like a cheat code, right? You get this wizard-like feeling, what used to take hours now takes minutes. And you start to envisage a future where your day's work might be done by lunchtime, and then you can just do whatever you want for the rest of the day. In 1930, the economist John Maynard Keynes made a prediction that within 100 years, technology would advance so much that we'd all just be working 3 hours a day, and our biggest challenge would be finding ways to fill our abundance of leisure time. Well, 96 years later, and hands up if any of you feel like your biggest challenge in life is how to fill your abundance of leisure time. No one? No? Lucky guy at the back there. Because in a capitalist society, even when we solve all our problems, we are just going to create more problems to solve, more value to add, more things to need, right? Who remembers a time early in their career when they finished a piece of work faster than expected and proudly took it to their boss, only to be given a stack load more work to do? What? Even in my lifetime, there have been several technology evolutions that have promised to provide unprecedented levels of productivity, like the internet, mobile computing, cloud computing, AI. But it doesn't feel like we're working any less, even with all this increase in productivity. Right now, with AI, we see a lot of curves that go like this. Exponential curves of like model intelligence or time saved or value created or whatever it is. But these curves will level out. They can't keep going up like this forever. And when they level out, what do we think is going to happen? Are we all just going to collectively agree, let's just work 3 hours a day and then AI can handle the rest of it for us? No. The baseline is going to rise for all of us, and what is expected for all of us in the same amount of time is going to massively increase. If I were to say, don't think of a pink elephant, what are we all doing right now? We all know how difficult it is to get rid of ideas once they're in our heads, right? And using AI to help us solve problems can be a bit like this. It might feel like we're just using AI as a starting point, like we'll just put it in AI and we'll see what it says. We don't have to use it, we can just kind of tweak it and refine it and make it our own. It'll just give us a place to start. But AI has been trained on everyone else's ideas, right? So the more we use it to start off our thinking, the more we risk converging on this sort of average solution. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be running the average version of my business or living the average version of my life. Imagine we're setting out on a journey. We can visualize what our destination looks like, and we know how it'll make us feel, but we don't know where it is or really how to get there. It's like running a business, right? And using AI can be a little bit like deciding to take the train to get there. It can feel like we have an abundance of choice. The train network is huge, and there are loads of stations in all different kinds of places, right? And when we embark on that journey, of course we're going to find a destination that fits what we're looking for, and we're going to tell ourselves, this is exactly what we needed. Because we don't know any better, and we aren't really considering that there is a whole world beyond the train network. So is AI evil? Is that what I'm saying? Well, AI is neither good nor bad. It is not the silver bullet that is going to solve all your problems, and it is not the Skynet enemy that is going to destroy civilization. Fear of AI thinking for you is a fear of your own laziness. And what's the next bit? Fear of AI thinking for you is a fear of your own laziness. And whether or not AI is good or bad for you is really down to you and how you use it and your intention. Most of the uses that you see of AI on social media and in the news are things that we could kind of already do, but now we can do them way faster with kind of an AI gloss over the top, like copywriting, research, or coding. I want us to be more ambitious than that with AI. In 2023, there was a study that was conducted that looked at the effect of AI on creativity. There were 5 experiments where participants had to come up with creative solutions to problems, like buying a gift for a teenager or finding alternative uses for household items. There were 2 groups. One were allowed to use AI, specifically ChatGPT, and the other were not allowed to use AI. And all the ideas were judged by innovation experts, but also just regular people as well, so a mix of judges. In all 5 experiments, the people that were allowed to use AI generated ideas that were rated as more creative every single time. And not only that, but they were rated as being better communicated and easier to understand. Last year, the World Economic Forum published a report where they asked thousands of employers about the future of work in an AI age. Among the top skills for 2030 are resilience, curiosity, and creative thinking. So this report is saying that when this curve levels out and the baseline rises for everyone, and AI is no longer a competitive advantage, it's just totally normal, these are the skills that will give you a competitive advantage. And it just feels good to engage with these skills, right? It's very human. We're all creative. We were all creative when we decided what to wear today, when we're going to decide what to have for dinner. We're creative when we navigate a difficult conversation in real time, or when our flight is cancelled and we have to plan a different trip home. We're always coming up with ideas, always solving problems. We are creative human beings, all of us. But creativity isn't like the Mona Lisa, or Uber, or Barack Obama's inaugural presidential campaign. Those things are the products of creativity. If I ask AI to create the Mona Lisa for me, am I being creative? No. As a musician and an artist and an entrepreneur and innovation consultant, I am obsessed with creativity and creative thinking. And in my 20-year career, I've spoken to hundreds of people about their creative process. And I've learned that creativity is exactly that, the process. The process by which you encounter a problem and start to think of a solution. The process by which you envision something that doesn't exist yet and start to make it real. Creativity is encountering obstacles and overcoming them. It's incorporating different opinions and feedback. It's what you learn about yourself and how you create something that's truly yours. A few years after my trip to A&E, my business came to an end. And with what I did next, I wanted to work with other small business owners to make sure they never felt the way that I did in hospital on that day. And I'd learned a few things about my coping strategies and why they failed me that time. And about AI and how to use it not as a crutch that is going to gradually diminish me, but as something that is going to empower me to be the kind of business owner that I know that I can be. Like, when I was overthinking everything, I was really just trying to be the hero of my own business and constantly save the day. But I learned that I owe it to my business to give it the best ideas possible, even if they don't come from me. And AI can help to unlock that creative thinking in me, not to give me the solution, but to act as a devil's advocate or a kind of blind spot checker, or even a neutral meeting facilitator to help foster collaboration and creativity in teams. And when I was trying to steamroll over all of my problems, I was really failing to see that the problems aren't getting in the way of the work. The problems are the work. They are always going to be there for whoever does this work, and that's what I'm getting paid to deal with. AI can help me lean into those problems, take the emotion out of them, and ask better questions about the things that I don't understand that get in my way, to teach me to be less intolerant and avoidant and more curious. And change is scary, and procrastination is normal, and AI does make that first step so easy. That first step doesn't have to be scary. If it's so small, it's basically risk-free. The only risk is barreling all the way to the end by yourself and getting to this finished product, which you then try and share with people like colleagues or customers or stakeholders. The key is to make something really quickly for the purposes of starting a conversation, a back-of-the-napkin sketch, which you can then show someone and invite criticism, invite diversion, invite contradictions, to invite that kind of healthy tension, which is how you build resilience. Resilience, curiosity, creative thinking. Where you're not using AI like a train, you're using AI like a bicycle. You can still ride alongside the train track, but you can also go down roads, on paths, you can go off-road into the forest, you can even go through streams and carry the bike above your head. You can use it to get somewhere that is beautifully and uniquely yours, which is exactly where you need to be. These days, I publish online content about how to use AI to think better, not less. I run AI training workshops and change transformation programs to help other small business owners develop resilience, curiosity, and creative thinking with AI, not in spite of it. Thank you very much.